cultural diversity on the in the ecosystem. It was my wife is president of Anthem, and I had to remind him, women are in leadership roles. You can't put, give me a bunch of white guys in different lab coats and in different getups.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, perfect. So, guys, we are going live as well, and yes, with this we go live on YouTube as well as LinkedIn. So if you have any team of yours who's working right now, just you can ping them saying that you guys are live now. You can share it across LinkedIn so that more and more people can watch us and learn from the abundance of knowledge you guys have. All right, we are about the time. I'll give you 3, 2, 1, and we'll start the session. Thank you so much once again. I'm going to start the session in next 3, 2, 1. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and hello everybody. This is Prayank Khandelwal, founding partner for Dawn Legal. Today we have with us Kevin and Anushka joining us from US and Australia. And here we are with our day 4 of Future of Health Tech. This is our day 4 of webinar Future of Health Tech. And over the past 3 days, we have been talking about how AI is helping healthcare and medical professionals to reduce the time, to improve their efficiencies and perform better and use the technological solutions in never imagined way. We also discussed about a lot of case studies and challenges which founders face when they have to start something new in the health tech domain. One of the major reasons being customer adaptability. People do not trust the technology that easily. And all of this used to happen in the ancient times. And by ancient times, I mean pre-COVID, because since last 2 years, we have not been even able to move. We have not been able to meet each other. And that's the reason why we thought, let's put together a panel where I can meet people from Australia, people from Korea, Japan, US, even Africa, because I can travel and I'm the guy who loves to travel. Had it not been COVID, I would have been in the US right now. I would have, of course, traveled to Singapore and Australia as well last May, but thanks to COVID. And so thank you so much, you guys, to coming together on such a wonderful evening and morning, respectively, at your end. We will shortly be joined by Dr. Vidhi as well. In the meantime, let me just start by introducing all of you guys. So we have Anushka Gallagher. Anushka is an experienced CEO, entrepreneur, leader, and board of director with more than 20 years of experience across Australia, Asia, Europe, and Africa. She has been working across the continents. She's an international speaker, facilitator, researcher, and also author. Specializes in leadership, future of work, health, and well-being at work. And that's why Anushka is such a fantastic speaker for and perfect fit for our event today. She's also she's currently director at Elevate, which is into digital health, mindfulness, meditation solution providing. So thank you so much, Anushka, for joining me today. I'm sure we have a lot to learn. All of our viewers would learn a lot from you. Thank you for coming together today.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. I hope I can share something of value here.
Excellent. Next, we have Kevin Pirio. Kevin is the founder and principal of Transcend IT Health. It's a boutique healthcare strategy and management consulting firm, which is based out of San Francisco, California. Transcend IT helps healthcare payers, providers, and even innovators to get maximum value from their digital health technology. Something which everybody of us is fond of, and people have been using digital health based solution for last 1.5 years since the COVID time hit. I mean, before that, people were very reluctant to use digital or IT solutions to get their problems across. But now we have telemedicines, we have teledoctors and everything. People are getting consultation over the phone, and Kevin is sitting right on the top of that pyramid. So thank you so much, Kevin, for coming on board. By the way, guys, Kevin is also an author for an awesome book, which is a Digital Health Revolution. And to all the participants, Kevin has came forward and said that, okay, people who are going to attend to a session, they are also going to get a book from Kevin. So this book, people can anybody and everybody who's watching us, who's listening us, all you have to do is just put your name in the comment section or put your name in the Google form which is shared with you, and you can get the book from Kevin delivered to your doorstep. Thank you so much, Kevin, for being such a great giver. And I'm sure audience would love this gift coming from you. And we have a lot to learn from you as well. Thank you so much again.
Thanks for having me.
Excellent, fantastic. Now we have the next speaker. Thank you so much, Dr. Vidhi, for joining in time. Dr. Vidhi is a dentist, is the typical introduction which anybody would give. But in my opinion, Dr. Vidhi is a super dentist because she has chosen to go beyond her profession. She has encompassed the IT profession, and what she has done is mixed IT with the dentistry knowledge, and then came up with a fantastic solution called as Dental Dose, which will let you scan your mouth, and basically within time it will give you solutions or problems saying that, okay, you have so many issues related to your oral hygiene, you better see the doctor. And the application uses AI to connect the right doctor in right time. So thank you so much, Dr. Vidhi, for coming up with such an interesting solution. Till now, I have never imagined that dentistry profession can also be changed in this such an innovative way. Thanks for bringing AI into the your profession, and I'm sure we will have love. We would learn a lot from you, and would love to know the challenges in putting together AI in this niche area of medical profession.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and inviting me over. I'm really excited to share my journey as well. Thank you so much, Prayant.
Excellent, lovely. So with this, guys, I open the floor, and today we will be discussing about a lot of things in healthcare, be it from meditation, be it from digital IT solution, or use of AI in the dentistry profession, or even medical in general. I'm your host, Prayant Khandelwal. I'm an engineer and a lawyer and a patent agent in India. We help a lot of. We have been helping around 250 plus startups for last 2.5 years, primarily protecting their innovative ideas. And with this thought, we thought, why don't we talk about great innovators across the globe and bring together them on a common platform where they can share their journeys, their learnings, their challenges, and inspire the rest of the folks who also want to elevate their own standard, who also want to learn from your learnings and move from place A to place B. So with this philosophy, Photon Legal started conducting these webinars, and today is the last day and final day of our Future of Health Tech webinar. Over the past 4 days, we have been having a lot of doctors, companies who are dealing in companies who are using AI to analyze X-ray reports, CT scans reports within seconds, and give you diagnosis whether the person has cancer or not, whether the nodule which is found in the report is cancerous or not, just within seconds. So we have been fortunate to have fantastic panels like yourself, and today is the final day. Thanks again. So let me just start the session, and my first question goes to Anushka. So Anushka, you have been involved in the corporate setup for a very, very long time. I mean, it's 2 decades, almost 2 decades, right? And now here you are, after juggling, hustling from one job to another, one place to another. Here you are leading team at Elevate, and finally you chose to be in the space of mindfulness and meditation. What has been your story so far? How did this transformation came, and why you chose mindfulness after spending 20 years? We want to know all of that.
How much time do we have? I have to tell you 20 years of story here.
As much as time you need to share.
The journey starts a little bit. I'll start where it starts. I was born and raised in Mauritius. And I'm a trained economist. So understanding people and behavior has been something I've been very curious from the very beginning. I've been very lucky to work and being mentored by the chair of UNESCO at the time as a first job after uni. But it set me up, I believe, for what followed, which I didn't know at the time. So being very curious and interested in people behavior, and then into leadership. So I've worked across different cultures. I've worked at an exec level. I've worked with teams. I've worked, with different bosses, different cultures, and within different teams of clients as well. And understanding that people are motivated based on their life experience as well as their natural preferences is something that I've taken to the next level. And that's why some of my research is on cultural intelligence. So bringing mindfulness and meditation into this space for me is really the next step when we look at where the world is, where the corporate is, where employees are now after 18 months of the virus, working from home, lockdowns, stress. The house is the office, the house is the school, the house is the gym, and the uncertainty. We had uncertainty before, and now, it's just really scaled. So I believe still talking about what motivates people, what engages people, but there's another element around mental health and physical health, to be honest, and which have become hygiene factors today. And as an employer, as a leader, it's a big part of our responsibility to check in. So I look at mindfulness and meditation as one of the tools we have. But having an app on the phone doesn't mean people use it, doesn't mean you get the benefit from it. So we do need to take it further. So my motivation of being here in this space and working is to bring the conversation on mental health, on physical health at the forefront in the workplace, because we cannot pretend this is not happening. Expectations we have as leaders today has to be matched with the reality. Checking how people go, their energy level is absolutely necessary. So in a way, I'm still doing the same thing, but I have adapted to also recognize what's happening currently and be part of the solution.
Excellent, fantastic. I love the way you structured your journey so far. I mean, you started with the corporate and then moved to the mindfulness thing, because it's very important, right? It's like an hygiene. You gotta get up early in the morning. I mean, you gotta do meditation because you basically have to spend time with yourself. That's what everybody has been teaching us, preaching us, that you gotta keep at least 10 minutes out of those 24 hours which are given to you, and just sit together with yourself, analyze things, or do nothing, right? Even so, I've been also practicing meditation for long, and one of the most important thing which you mentioned, that it puts a responsibility on each employer as well. That is the team with the right mindset or not? Is anybody having a problem or not? Because as an employer, you have a responsibility. So at Photon, for last 2 months, what we started doing is we started to do a lot of started to do a yoga session together. So every day, early in the morning, 5 days a week, we get together on a Zoom call, not for discussing the business and not for discussing the work, but we do yoga together for an hour. And that has changed. It has an awesome experience. I mean, though we are connected virtually and we are just seeing the screen, and the yoga teacher is there, trainer is there to guide us with different steps, but at the end of the session, we all sweat out together. At the end of the session, we all have that smile, and it starts our day. So because people have been saying that, right? You got to start your day with smile. So why don't we smile together and come together with mindfulness? So fantastic, Anushka. Thank you so much for doing this. And I'm sure this COVID has been a great time for you and your business as well.
Priyank, I don't know if we can hear you very well.
Hello. Am I audible now?
You're back.
All right. Yeah. So I have a follow-up question to you, Anushka. How has been COVID for Elevate? Did you have to do some pivot around your product or the positionings, or it was all well placed and the app is still serving the needs?
Yeah, the app has been created by the co-founders and different iteration of it over a number of years. So pre-COVID, we did have the product. What has changed is the relevance of it in the corporate world. We were mainly, it's evidence-based. It's created for those with a significant physical and mental illness. So we have a lot of people who have been diagnosed with cancer or MS. We do work with them, but what COVID has done is highlighted the use and the importance of the mental health and the challenges we're having. So that has been the change. So we have now a very, very large market where we are working. And not only that, I am leading a roundtable with leaders from across industry and government, because to be honest, no one knows how to do this well. If we did, there's a lot of band-aid solution there, right? We're trying our best, but whether it's working, and we can talk about return on investment. Of course, that's definitely what employers would look at. But even though we know there are challenges and there are solutions, doesn't mean change is happening or we're doing the right thing or doing it fast enough. So part of this is getting a group of people together, moving this forward. And who can do that? It's the captain of industries. So COVID has highlighted what we can do in the corporate space. Then the next step that we have also done, another part of the product, is the one-on-one mentoring. So having an app, having a digital solution is not enough. We also need to give people, especially adults, how do they learn? We need a reason to go back. We need someone to handhold. We need to do it. So we have a one-on-one mentoring program that is over 3 months. So you change habits over a number of months as well of doing it. So there's been some the ecosystem has grown, and I guess another vertical around corporates has become very, very clear for us. That's the contribution of COVID, unfortunately, but
Yes, no doubt. I mean, COVID has sort of put a basically semicolon to all the progress people have been doing, especially on the travel side. But yes, it has opened a lot of other new avenues as well, and people have started to look within, which is one of the most important plus, I would say, from the pandemic time. So thank you so much, Anushka, again. Now, I have a question to Kevin. I want to know something about. So there are so much digital health solutions provided in the world right now. How do you compete with all of them? And how do you position yourself in such a crowded space?
Wow, that's a great question. And you know what, believe it or not, it's the first question I usually get asked at conferences. We talk about, Anushka talked about journeys. And by the way, I want to give her a shout out, because one of the central themes of my writing is good health is comprised of 3 things: who we are, our biometrics, our weight, our cholesterol, our blood sugars, if we're tracking a chronic condition, what we do. And the third one is something that we've long ignored: how we feel. And if one gets out of whack, it's at the expense of the other 2 typically. So it's nice to see innovators addressing this space. If you look at the last 10 years as a for example, I've watched the thinking about healthcare and healthcare data really evolve. 10 years ago in our country, we had the ACA was approved. And it just spurred a lot of investment into creating data to validate better outcomes and to help us transition to value-based care models. And you know what? The best way to answer your question is back then, there weren't a lot of tools. In fact, our industry was somewhat in denial. We don't like to admit it, but our titans of industry here in the United States were denying that digital health would ever work. I remember sitting in some of the boardrooms and literally having the chairman of the 2nd largest or the 3rd largest health plan in the United States saying this will never work. It's all it's a sack of hooey, and we've tried to engage our members, and they won't be held accountable. And that sort of gave way to, okay, it's working, but it won't sustain. How can it? And now everyone's on board. So as I look at that journey, 10 years ago, there were no choices, and today we have a lot of choices. I suppose in many ways it's like buying a car, right? If you like Lexus, you buy a Lexus and you're happy with your car. If you like German-made automobiles, you lean toward an Audi or a BMW or a Mercedes, but you still like that automobile as well. I think the lesson for us, just as ordinary people that consume healthcare, is get plugged in. Pick a tool, start using it, and then stay the course. I think it's never been easier, right? All you need is your smartphone, really. There's a lot of technology there's a lot of innovation that's taken place throughout all of healthcare's value chain, from providers to health plans to innovators who are helping you with chronic conditions or just to manage to specific goals. And it's never been we've never seen a time where the friction between you and participating and getting connected has been like this. It's a bit frictionless. I use Apple's Health Kit, and I don't even know I'm using it, right? At the end of the week, I'll take a look at my steps. I'll take a look at my sleep. Now I'm an animal. I actually do a lot of other things beyond that. Like I have an Israeli firm here that I use, a lumen, that I exhale into every morning, that helps me calibrate my metabolism and help me align my diet. And the nice thing is all the data goes to an Apple Health Kit, and they harvest from that as well. So they all take a look at the data. I'll share it with them if they're providing value for me, and I won't share it with them if they're not. So I think that's the other lesson learned now that we're on the cusp of connected health. If I share my data with you, it better be because you're helping me manage to a goal of mine.
Oh, fantastic. So very important thing which you said is that as a patient or as a user of the technology, you are sharing the data with companies. The companies are custodian of the data, but they also have a responsibility to provide you value. If they don't provide you value, you don't go to them. You don't basically share your data. So most important thing for anybody watching out right now is to learn from Kevin is that if you want to share your data, go ahead, share the data, but also look at the value. If the other party is not providing value, it's not adding the value, then it's of no use. People will not go to that route or use that application which is present in one of the many applications which is present on your phone unless and until you provide a value. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kevin, for sharing that. From this value point, Dr. Vidhi, I would like to come to you. Dentist profession has been there for ages now. I mean, people have not even tried to do experimentation when it came to identifying issues with their oral hygiene. People always prefer to visit a dentist first, physically, and then start the diagnostic procedure. I mean, in India, very few people would even love to go to dentist. I don't know. Even I am also skeptic to visit my dentist whenever he calls me up for an appointment. So you are breaking barriers. Tell us more about your journey. How has been this journey so far? This entrepreneurship, this clinics and everything. How are you managing things?
Right. Thank you for that question. Really wonderful one. And thank you for having me on the show to begin with. Yeah, definitely. I mean, to begin with the stats that you just said, right? People usually prefer visiting a dentist in person and getting their ailments checked. But in India, what we see, people don't even do that. So to begin with, the first step was to bring awareness among our mainly Indian population about why oral health is so important, and it is a gateway of entry to your overall health. As a very common saying in a dental field or in dentistry is your oral health is the window to your overall health. Just by looking at your mouth, the condition of your tongue, teeth, your cheeks, your internal lining of your mouth, we can actually say what's going on inside your body. How is your heart's health? How's your liver's health? How are your kidney doing? Just by looking at your mouth. So that much open and transparent is the oral healthcare. And that was the first main thing or the barrier or challenge that I may say, what I and my team faced while we were, educating the end consumer. There's a very funny fact here in India. Majority of the population owns a smartphone than owning a toothbrush. That's the problem that we have. So it began spreading the awareness about brushing twice a day, using a floss, having a proper oral care routine, which just doesn't end at using a toothbrush and a paste, but having the 5 oral care routine. And my journey began in 2016 when I started practicing, but I understood that we have a surplus of dentists in country. Yet when it comes to oral health score, we are not doing good. We are literally struggling when it comes to oral health. So it made me think, doing few patients in a day won't help to make a major change. And I always have been inclined towards technology, and I believe in the power of combining these two strong fields or domains, right? The medical field and the technology field. What I have seen, these two domains have not been amalgamated properly because there's a lot of resistance when it comes to tech entering into medical field. Even when we see the history, it took 150 years for a thermometer to get approved. doctors were like, we'll just check if the temperature is hot or cold. We don't need a thermometer. We do not trust technology. Similarly, for the ECG machine, it took 50 years in the history to get an approval. So coming from a medical field, I understand what are the fears when it comes to a medical or a dental practitioner, and what are the gaps which are present between they accepting technology in serving the purpose. Now, also here we are automating the initial or the elementary diagnosis of what's happening in the oral cavity, yet we are not replacing the dental surgeons. Usually, the first fear which is present is what if we get replaced, like, what is happening in automation right now? Drivers are getting replaced by, self-driving cars. What if dental surgeons or medical practitioners get replaced altogether? But what we have seen, we are using this technology to make it easy for a dental surgeon to provide good services to the patient and even make a very seamless journey for the end consumer. The level of automation which is currently achieved in automobile, if I may say, or in finance, is not possible in healthcare. No matter how much level of automation we achieve, there's always a real human, a real doctor present to give the final approval, diagnosis, and the treatment plan. So with this all thoughts in my head, I started Dental Dost in 2018 with my co-founder, who mainly takes care of the technical part, and I usually provide my expertise in the dental domain. We initially began with just spreading awareness about oral healthcare, and once people are aware about why is it so important, guiding them into the right direction, that what are the different specialties present in dentistry and why is it so important to peep inside your mouth. Every day we wake up, we would see our hair, our skin, we would brush, but we won't open our mouth and check how's my tooth doing, how's my tongue doing. So through this, we have made people open their mouth and peep inside their oral cavity and have a look. Because sadly, oral diseases are preventable, but they are not reversible. They are irreversible. So once any disease have initiated in your mouth, we cannot reverse it. But with a good level of awareness and good oral hygiene practices, we can prevent all this. Also to highlight, oral cancer is taking a toll over health, and many individuals are losing their lives, especially in India. So I want to just make people aware of the initial stages so that we can have a better prognosis later and add value to their life and the years that they are living. So with this, we started Dental Dost, and today I feel so glad and take a very pride in mentioning that we have reached that level when people are now scanning their oral cavity through smartphone and the normal camera present in the smartphone and are able to get a preliminary diagnosis about what are the diseases that have already started, and considering their lifestyle and habits, what are the diseases that which they are more prone to, so that they can take care of their lifestyle and habits accordingly. And just like Anushka mentioned, right, you have one-on-one mentorship and you start this habit formation among your users. We do the same thing. So the consumer know that they have to brush twice a day, that they need to floss, but it's very difficult to start with that habit if you've not been practicing since your childhood. So we have this one-on-one interaction. We give a special dental surgeon to a personalized patient who is with the patient till the end, and it would the doctor would actually guide and notify and help how it's 8 a.m. now. According to the schedule of the patient, you need to brush, you need to floss. Come on, let me help you and teach you how to floss and everything else. So this is the stage that we've currently reached. And I hope that we can, make a lot of differences when patients are actually able to diagnose severe diseases like even oral cancer at a very preliminary stage.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Vidhi, for sharing your entire journey. You are doing a wonderful job, honestly. You have started from medical background, amalgamated IT into it, and now you have vision to help everybody in India from having any sort of oral diseases. And very well point put together. People own smartphones, but not a toothbrush. So my request to everybody would be just go ahead and get one. Brush twice a day. It's for you. What you eat is what you become. Anushka is gonna touch about that as well. So whatever you are putting inside is of course going to transform you, right? Either in good way or bad way. So please go ahead, take help of Dental Dost and start your oral hygiene journey from today. If you have not done yet, there's never late, right? You can always start now.
Correct.
but not to do that is a bad thing. Excellent. Thank you so much, Vidhi, for sharing that. And I'm sure people who have concerns regarding would the automation in the health tech domain replace the doctors, replace the dentists or not, would of course love to watch your video and see how transformative AI or automation in general or digital health solutions can do to the medical profession altogether. And I'm sure it's going to be helpful for doctors as well. Kevin, what's your take on this? Would automation or AI solutions or robotic surgery, which we're talking about these days, are going to replace doctors, or it's going to be there, work like a friend of a doctor and help them out in different situations, difficult situations? What's your take on this?
It's never going to be a situation where we're replacing doctors. I think good technologies and technologies that get the best traction are an extension of your doctor or a tool that helps your doctor be more efficient. You mentioned AI in machine learning, and is really no different. I would expect the trajectory of this technology, which is really nascent right now, it's just taking off, to be somewhat similar to telehealth. And telehealth has been around for about 10 years. It was actually supposed to be one of the first big killer apps, and it never took off. And I think the lesson learned looking backwards is the early innovators arrived on the scene and said, you don't need your doctor, just fire up your laptop. We've got your answers and your solutions right here. Well, we trust our doctors. We choose our doctors based on proximity to where we live, and more importantly, the rapport that we develop with her when we're in her office. I don't think that the AI experience, if your value proposition is fire up your laptop again, is ever going to resonate and take hold. But if you see those solutions targeted at doctors and saying things like, look, reading radiology charts is repetitive. You can get fatigue. You can use the machine to take 100 and skinny it down to the 10 that look problematic and that you need to take action on. Now there's a solutions provider that will probably get traction and be successful because they're working collaboratively with the doctor. I've never been a fan of technology replacing doctor relationships. And I think that's probably the analogy I just used with telehealth is probably about the best one that I can think of.
Excellent, fantastic. So yes, that's what even we feel from the innovation side of things, that innovation is there to help you out. It's not to replace you, because if it replaces you, then who's going to innovate more? That's the question we always pose whenever somebody says that, oh, I don't want to use technology because it might just replace me. And you're like, oh God, it can never replace you, right? If you are always on top of it. So if innovation is doing at this growth and you are here, then of course you have reasons to worry. But if you are always studying, learning, meditating, and basically pushing hard and moving on top, then you can make better innovation at every level you are reaching, right? So that's a fantastic take, Kevin. Thanks for sharing that. Anushka, I would like to have a question towards you, which from one of the points you mentioned earlier, that in your mobile phones you have so many applications, but you rarely use all of them, or you rarely even open some of them for months, right? So here you are providing digital mindfulness services, digital health, wellness, and mindfulness services. How do you convince your customers from early adopter stage to move to your regular customer by using digital solutions? Is there some barrier? If yes, what are those challenges, and how do you move them from just an adopter, just a user, to a regular customer on the platform?
Yeah. Well, firstly, the app is free. Even that is not enough for people to just download and use it. So, the cost is not really a barrier as such. I'll talk about the Alleviate app and maybe talk about this more broadly as well. So you have the app? We have monthly self-assessment that we do to measure how you're tracking on your level of anxiety, stress, well-being, how you're sleeping, everything that we can relate, very simple terms. And you can see how you do. There's that data element that people are interested to look at. We also run weekly sessions that are live and guided. We pick a topic, let's say sleep, pain management, stress. We have a little bit of insights and theory on that. Then we do a practice session and then we close. And we do that every Monday evenings. And we've been doing about 57 of them. So every week, even Christmas, New Year, which is a time that can be very difficult for a lot of people. They're by themselves. We run them throughout, and we have a global group of people who come every single week. So there is that community feeling. So the app is really a tool. The app is not much more than that. You get what you want out of it based on how much you use it, but it's not going to replace picking the phone and talking to someone, or even these sessions that we run. Although we have 80, 90 or 100 people on the call, it's not a webinar format. It's everyone sees everyone if they want to. So it's very warm, very friendly. So we're building connections. We're creating a safe place. So I believe that's really important. You need to also give people a reason to go back to the app. So that gamification component, whether it's an app or another tool, is extremely important. And they're understanding our brains, how we feel rewarded, all the dopamine and all the rest that we have, understanding that and bringing it into the product is important. But at the end of the day, there's one company I'm involved with, there's a wearable you wear, it helps you with your posture. When you feel and see actual benefit, it starts to give you reason to do it. And when also, everyone has a scale. You jump on a scale, you don't really like what it's telling you. You think it's lying because it always gives you more, the higher number than you want to see. But you still want to go and check how you're doing. So we need to be able to still motivate. It seems to go back to that whole people behavior and what drives us, what motivates us. If we set a goal, and it's got to fit in our life, but at the same time having that willingness, that desire to also make some shift and make some changes. So we've got to provide a tool, we've got to give them a reason to go back, and we need that connection. I think here what I've heard, which is really interesting that you don't always hear around tech, is the human element is absolutely important. Tech is there as a support, as a tool, far from replacing us. And I think that's the biggest conversation that we need to have, is the myth that we're going to be replaced. I think it's a myth. I'm one of those who believe tech is there to serve us, not the other way. So I hope I've answered your question there.
Yes, absolutely. Fantastic. So you mentioned very well about the motivation factor. You got to have motivation. I mean, if you want to ask your users to come at a certain time and open the app and do the meditation session, let's say for 15 minutes on a day-to-day basis, on regular 24/7, 365 days, then you got to be motivated enough. And with all the incentive programs and the dopamine which you are giving to everybody, people are able to come back all the time. That's great.
Yeah.
What are the numbers you're looking at, Anushka?
Sorry, the one-on-one mentoring, maybe just to add that's very customized. That's again, technology helps us do that from their comfort of their home in a time that works for them. There's the whole privacy around that, especially we work with those with a significant mental and physical health issue. So you don't necessarily want others. When we have high performers, you've got your top lawyer, your top doctor. They don't necessarily want all of that to be out within the workplace. So we're able to provide all of that and someone to handhold the person through that journey and start to get into the habit. So it's like going to the gym. When you have a personal trainer, you show up, you push more weights, and if you don't, you probably will sleep. So it's really the same concept, but using technology to make it much more accessible to a bigger group of people and removing geographical boundaries that we at this point don't even have, can't even travel or otherwise. So, yeah.
Yes, excellent, great take. I like the part that you mentioned that technology is there, but you are also hand-holding people around so that they can use the technology, embrace it to the best, and push their limit, push their boundaries the same way the gym trainer does to us. Excellent. And I believe everybody agrees to this fact that okay, technology is there, and you also need the hand holding so that the mindset changes. People change their habits. People shut their barriers and start embracing the tech for their good and not for the bad. So this is important and excellent point. Thank you so much, Anushka, for bringing that home. I have a question to Dr. Vidhi here. So Dr. Vidhi, you're working very well. I mean, you have so many friends of you who are still in a traditional dentist setup. What was your eureka moment to introduce tech into this field?
More than having a eureka moment, it was one of the very challenging and struggling phase, in introducing tech in a dental domain. Because again, just like I mentioned, it's very difficult to cut on that resistance and make a dental surgeon or a medical field friendly to a technology. So back then, when we started in 2018, it was very, very difficult to convince doctors to actually, believe in the tech which can help in delivering teledentistry, yet having a very personalized touch and a human touch with patients as well. Only after the COVID-19 happened, and I would say it was a blessing in disguise for us that the world could see how delivery of healthcare changed rapidly compared to other fields. And everyone, right from consumer to end, doctors accepted the telehealth way. And that was the time, especially during 2020, when doctors and my friends, my colleagues, my seniors and juniors started approaching me that, oh, now we believe, and you've been doing this last 2 to 3 years, but we were just criticizing, and now we see you've been doing something right, and that particular moment was really a eureka moment. I remember just at the very start when we had been talking about the tele dentistry thing and how there are so many startups coming up when it comes to your teeth straightening or even cosmetic dentistry, each and everything, right from diagnosis to treatment planning. One of the very senior colleagues of mine had created a big issue and mentioning, this is not, you might replace dentists and this is not the way how it should be. You being a dental practitioner, where are you entering? I mean, look at you, why don't you just practice, start a clinic and practice? This is the words that I had actually faced and listened to. But from mid 2020 to now in 2021, the game has actually flipped. Many doctors sadly they had to shut their clinical practice, especially the new dental graduates, because of the fixed and the variable expenses, and they were not able to bear in COVID. And also to add one more point, dentists were more exposed to COVID-19 as opposed to other practitioners because we work so closely with mouth and tissues and blood and saliva and aerosols. So patients were obviously very scared to visit doctors, and even in the first wave, the protocols were not in place. It was made it compulsory for doctors to shut down their practice. So what we see alone in the state of Maharashtra and Karnataka, we have faced, the doctors, the dental community has faced more than 250 crores of loss. So the game has flipped in this way that now the dental practitioners have shut down their practice and they're looking at more disruptive way and out of the box ways to deliver dentistry, whether it is telehealth, manually or in a smart way using artificial intelligence and machine learning. They now believe in the power of community and power of content building as well. I've received requests that how can we help in building this content, because that was our first step. How we began, we started making content in various forms, blogs, videos and audios. Then we started having this interaction with patients. Once we had this interactions with patient, I came up with this idea of, we have a helpline for everything, right? For medical emergency, for fire, theft, why not for dental emergencies? And we, as a dental practitioner, I'd seen that there are dental emergencies. So we've launched India's first 24/7 dental helpline, through which patients can directly call us and talk to a qualified dentist free of cost and any time of day and night. So at all these models, and to top up, we even have this app which we have integrated AML algorithm, which provides with preliminary diagnosis. So that was a very eureka moment, as I mentioned, in May 2020, when doctors actually believed in this power and they joined hands. Now we have doctors all across India who have approached us and who have actually combined with us and progressing in the same direction and have the same mission and the vision.
Excellent, fantastic. So all of this could never, I mean, nobody could have achieved this had you not had this vision in the first place that you want to serve the community. You started with serving the community. So to all the folks, to all the budding entrepreneurs who are watching us right now, this is a very great lesson to learn from Vidhi, that she never stopped, even though she was not getting traction. She was not getting traction in the beginning. She hustled continuously. She started making content. She focused a lot about community and building the content strategy overall for yourself. She started shooting videos, writing blogs, writing creatives, and pushing them across social media so that more and more people started to engage with that. And the moment everybody got hit by pandemic, that was the moment where with these dental dose was there, where when nobody was, people were questioning her that being from the same profession, how can you do this to us? How can you do this to yourself? Don't you want to practice dentistry for rest of the career? I mean, rest of the life. How can you do this? And then there she was thinking that, okay, boss, I'm not trying to replace you. I'm going to help you. And thanks to COVID, Vidhi could prove her point, and now here she is helping a lot of people, and not just in India. I believe Vidhi, your solutions do have capabilities to go beyond India, and the rest of the world is, of course, going to get a lot of benefits from you. I wish you all the best and all the very wishes to go ahead, launch it across the globe, and make everybody proud. We're so proud of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Excellent. So next question, we also have, guys, as we mentioned earlier, we have a live audience as well. So somebody had asked question in the chat. This Sheila Vilnain, thank you so much, Sheila. Sheila has asked that will technologies influence healthcare professionals' behavior in the workplace? Interesting. Yes, behavior has changed, but what about workplace? Kevin, would you like to answer this question?
Sure. I think a good example of that is how we, and COVID's a great driver for this, right? If you take a look at how we do remote patient management, imagine being a clinician and being in charge of monitoring a population of 1,000 people with diabetes. Her life used to be just absolutely overwhelming, tracking all the data and knowing who to reach out to and who to leave to them to their own device. I think how technology has affected the behavior on the clinician side or on the provider side has been pretty profound. It's given them the ability to triage intelligently and to take a look at a population of health and to recognize, well, I have 1,000, 900 of them are absolutely fine. They're on a good diet, they're exercising regularly, they're getting the proper amount of sleep, and they seem to be managing their stress loads adequately. 500 are kind of trending in the wrong direction, and 500 are going to be in for an acute readmission if we don't do something right now. So for that person, it's given them a look at who's the emergency here, who needs our help the most right now, and more importantly, the tools to be able to reach out and connect with those people. If you take a look at the concept of how we get connected, from your glucose monitor to your scales, to your activity trackers, to your Noom, to your Lumen device, now this clinician has a holistic view as to who you are, what you're doing, how she can help you take corrective measures. So I think it's made them a more informed stakeholder for you, and it's created a situation where you have a more participative and educated client or patient on the other side. So I think what's happening is kind of exciting in that we really are getting to the leg of our journey in digital health, where we're not just collecting data and analyzing it anymore. I always talk about digital health this way. We've seen 3 phases. The first phase was, I alluded to it earlier, we just exploded some popular myths about what people will and won't do, and that was dominated by apps. I think the next phase was dominated by platforms to analyze things. We sometimes call this the quantified self movement. And the third phase is where we're at right now, which is connecting everything. We've gone from the smartest people in the room looking backwards and saying, hey, I can tell you what just happened, to the smartest people in the room saying, hey, we need to do something about it. And I know precisely what that is for this particular person.
Fantastic. Yes, very well answered, Kevin. You have for sure touched the topic very beautifully, and also mentioned a very interesting point that the way people are going to change, or the way the medical practice is going to change, is by prioritizing things. If you have a severe medical condition, the doctor is going to treat you the first, because now with the help of tech, the doctor can understand that, okay, what are the symptoms, what are the issues, and how critical this problem can be for a particular patient at a given time. And once you have all of this data, the digital health solutions are there to help doctors, to help the medical staff as well, to prioritize the patient and then admit them and provide them the right treatment at the right time, so that we don't lose any life. Of course, that's going to be the best way. And a couple of more use cases which you mentioned is that people started to use apps for just, let's say, moving from paper pen work to software world, and then people try to take all of this data, do analysis, and provide reports, which are again going to help the community itself. So all of this is going to help the professionals, help the medical professionals, and everybody, not just a common person. And this technology is going to help a lot. So the future is bright. I can honestly say that, right? And I can convincingly say that the future is bright. Future of healthcare is bright. Future of health tech is bright, because tech is not to replace you, but to help you out with this. So often people also ask us, okay, this is about the health tech guys. Okay, the people, tech is good for young generation. Tech is good for people who are techno savvy. But what about people who find it difficult to use tech to their advantage? What about people who have issues in using even phone? I mean, even though we have been using Zoom calls, but there are times when we get onto client meetings and people have difficulties in accessing the Zoom app itself. People still do not know certain functionality. So how do we bridge that gap? Would technology be there to help those folks out? I want to ask you, Anushka, about it, because you've been in the corporate culture. You know how people change their behavior, how the technology gets adopted over a period of time. My question to you is this: for non-technical people, or people who are not tech savvy, and elderly folks, okay, there are two people, elderly as well as non-tech savvy, they are not great with tech. How would future of tech would look like for them? Should they be worried? Should they be scared because everybody's going to go on tech? Or should they be relaxed and everything would be taken care? How do you look at the future here?
I'll share based on my experience, maybe partly of what we have had with the one-on-one mentoring. But coming at it from a broader perspective, though, digital is there to be part of this ecosystem. It's really the integration of both physical, hence the human element, and the digitech together. Otherwise, it's not going to be purely tech. It cannot be, but it is an enabler. So I think for me, that's an important part. Now, when I take the example of the one-on-one mentoring we do, sometimes some of the mentees we have may have more than one illness. They may have a cancer and they are also depressed. Mm-hmm. And then getting on a phone or a Zoom, or we use Power Diary or one of those online call, and putting an app on and then doing it can be very difficult. You never know as well at home. It can be a condition where they don't have a room, or people. It's not always very simple. So being able to have confidence that someone is able to help you and help you in the way you need, meet you where you are, and then provide that solution, I think is where we can have confidence. About some of this people not being tech savvy, I mean, really over the last 12 months, 18 months, we have seen what we have done. For 25 years, we didn't want to move to digital. We didn't want to be using things like Zoom, yet we did it in 3 weeks last year. So there is a shift in mindset. Even the myth around older people, I would categorize that in some definition of it, and the myth that they are not willing to go online, do digital. My mom is on Facebook. I mean, that is nuts. I would not have believed that, because she used a phone. There's nobody's number in there. She never texts. but yet she's on Facebook, and we live in different countries, and that's the way she's able to connect. She uses WhatsApp. So I think if it's for the right reason, we can do it. And it's getting easier and easier to use. And having a phone, which most of the world does have now, we may not have a toothbrush, we have a phone. It's a very different product compared to having a computer, and even, Wi-Fi has made a lot of that a lot easier. So I think for me, the important part of that question is those who are making decisions, those who are creating the innovation. I think it's our responsibility to make sure no one is left behind by tech. That's an important piece that, it lies in the people who are creating this. Who are we leaving behind? It's supposed to take everyone forward. It's supposed to put us on a level playing field, or give us much more access. So I think the responsibility sits also with those who are making decisions.
Excellent. You made a very, very powerful statement. I like it. And I'm going to use it with quotes that people with innovation have a responsibility to include. They have a responsibility to not leave anybody behind. And that's going to be the powerful statement from today. And I'm going to use it across channel and put your name to that, because this is amazing, right?
I should talk to my lawyer, hey? IP, huh?
There's already one on the call.
I know. I'm talking to him.
Such a really a very strong statement. To add on that point, I would like to add that we are seeing the leaders in every country or every geography having this digital transformation, all kinds of projects according to their countries to take everything together and as a one community, and making sure no one is left behind, whatever new innovations or technologies coming. So really a very, very strong statement. Yeah.
That's an epiphany moment right there for everybody. Honestly, technology is here to connect us to the people who can help us. And if we're not doing that, then there are gaps, and we need to be fearless about addressing our shortcomings. We can celebrate our successes and build on those, but we also have to be brutally honest about where we fall short, and do any and everything we can to, as Anushka said, meet people where they are. We can't create a solution and expect people to come to us.
Correct. Absolutely fantastic. So this is great. I mean, that's the reason why we put together such show. Our knowledge, we share our wisdom, and we share what we really believe in, right? So this is fantastic. I mean, people who have been thinking that digitization would kill them, it will kill their business. It's not true. Innovators are there to include you. It's an inclusive innovation, right? I have never heard of any innovation which is excluding people, right? It's not, nobody thinks from that perspective. So all we have to do is, I mean, future of tech is bright. Future of health tech is also bright. And because health is very fundamental, you cannot ignore it, right? You cannot just say, okay, I have ache in my stomach, but I'll not do anything. I'll not go to the doctor. I don't want to check my data, or I don't want to even get my radioscopy done for my stomach, right? Because I fear going to doctor. You cannot just ignore it. You cannot slip if you ignore it. So it is very basic, and you cannot simply ignore it. And once you have such issues and you have technology to help you out, why don't you just come on board with it? So for me, future of tech and future of health and its amalgamation is fantastic. It's awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. Over here now, this is the time where I open the forum to everybody. If people have questions, go ahead, ask questions. And to all the speakers, Anushka, Kevin, and Dr. Vidhi, if you have questions for one another or for me, go ahead and shoot. This is the time. I'm going to take a backseat now.
Well, I will ask a question to Vidhi. Firstly, really commend you, because you believed in something that everyone didn't believe and actually told you of. The mindset change that you had to go through, even if you believed within your own peers, as well as then the larger, broader community. So that's really very beautiful to see, and I wish you all the best. What was the thing that kept you going there? What was the one thing that you really get that fire in your belly? Because obviously without that, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing against all these odds. So what was the thing that kept you going?
So, if we have a very clear purpose and the mission and vision, all other distractions are, sidetracked, and you keep on moving on the same path in the right direction without getting affected by critical or negative comments from your own peers or maybe even family members for that matter. So the one main purpose which kept me going on is truly a very close thing to my heart, which is the oral cancer. India is the oral cancer capital of the world. I'm sure many people are not aware of it, due to various, the culture of tobacco maybe in different forms or lack of awareness. If just to highlight one more fact, 67% of the total Indian population belongs from the rural part of India, and just hardly the 25 to 30% is living in the urban areas. So I myself have seen while I was studying and even during 4 years of my practice, many patients have died of oral cancer because they came at the last stage, at stage 4 and stage 5, where hardly I could give them a couple of months or just 1 year of their life. And then they had to bid goodbye to their closed ones. And that literally the day, whenever I recall such patient, it gives shivers to me. And I don't want anyone to go through that unfaithful path. And it's a very a sad death because it's not sudden and you are losing a part of your face which is visible. So apart from all the physical trauma, it's a huge mental trauma what a patient goes across. Any part which is hidden, they're losing it. Obviously there is trauma, but some percentage less. Imagine you losing an eye, your nose, because oral cancer spreads everywhere. Imagine you not having your lower jaw or half jaw. It's a huge trauma that a patient suffers from. So that particular thing, whenever I feel whatever criticism that is coming, I see those patients and I know that, we cannot give up. Startup, being an entrepreneur, it's all about highs and lows, and you will have all these things during a journey. But one day I want to have this early diagnosis of oral cancer and rest disease, which we are doing. But these are a very grave disease, which is very close to my heart. And with this early diagnosis, I'm sure we'll not only have obviously social reformation, but even economic and overall transformation of lifestyle and habits and overall health of each and every individual.
Well done you, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Excellent, superb vision statement. I mean, how can somebody not come together with you on such a great mission statement and vision statement you have?
And I feel very glad.
Had I been a dentist, had I been a practicing dentist, I would have been with you, and I would love to practice with you for sure, Dr. Vidhi.
Thank you. I feel so glad that now all the the patients and doctors have come across. We are forming this one community, an enclosed community, and together solving this problem.
Well, that's Kevin's connectivity model there.
Yes.
Open some offices here.
Good. Thank you so much, Anushka, for this. Yes, go ahead.
I really like to applaud Anushka because these two words, right? Corporate and mindfulness. For me, these are like two opposite words. Because I've closely
at one end you see chaos, and one end you say that there is no chaos.
Correct.
It's only you, right? You sit together and calm.
So it's like, jumping from the one end of the world, I may say, to a different, and I really appreciate your efforts there.
Yeah, we're pushing through, like you, believing in making a little difference.
And one more thing I would just like to mention for Kevin as well. India is still suffering, with regards to this data management. Even till now, we've been trying so hard, all the dental and all the medical domains to have medical data, well-structured and augmented, which is represented in a smart way, and a smart analytics for a patient to actually consume that data which have been, provided. But we are still struggling with that, and I really appreciate your efforts of, getting it all together and having a smart output, because just input and having unstructured data is as good as no data. So
I think the world over, we've seen this happen, right? We in 2006, George Bush mandated electronic health records, And it's a great idea, right? I mean, it sounds wonderful. We shouldn't have to fill out the paperwork every single time we go into the office. What happened next was just mind numbing, right? I mean, 25 years after we learned how to share data, a whole industry adopted a business model where, okay, Epic data is Epic data, Cerner data is Cerner data. And the only way we share it with you is if you become a customer of ours and you license it. And you look at the role of the patient, and it's a construct for software companies to make money off of, right? So that just seems so obscenely wrong to me. In the US, we have health exchanges that the states maintain just so that all the data from these EHRs gets stored somewhere where it is shareable. So ironically, the stakeholders that had our data the entire time, the health plans and the providers, didn't do anything with it. So God bless the innovators. They had some tough lessons to learn along the way as well, but they designed their solutions from the ground up for us to be able to consider the ownership of that data to be ours and to share it as we saw fit. So I hope we're continuing along those lines, and the trajectory is moving us in that direction. Maybe blockchain will help enable that. But I think we need to reach a point where, we own our data. That's unquestionable. Your doctor gets to use it when we give them permission to, and going outside to seek a third-party specialist shouldn't be an arduous task. It should be as frictionless as downloading an app. If we want a third opinion, a second opinion, or just to share it with a specialist who's, God forbid, out of network, then we ought to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Excellent. So with this point of data and ownership, I have another question, which I forgot to ask all of you, is that how do you look at IP rights when it comes to innovation and being in practice? I mean, all of you must have experienced this at some point of your careers. Kevin, what's your take on IP? How important it is, how bad it is, how good it is to have?
The best advice I give to innovators, providers, or even health plans that ask me that question is find a good legal firm, right? I'm not an attorney, and I can have an opinion, but here's the deal. Some on the innovator side have skirted the IP issue by advocating or arguing that, hey, we're not a therapeutic, we're a lifestyle management tool. And I think that's kind of a slippery slope. So I still encourage them to hire a smart attorney that's good at IP and can recognize whether you need FDA certification to be able to, sell your product and get providers to use it. I think, that's the short answer right there is find a good attorney, find someone that knows the ins and outs of whether you will need it as either a provider that's servicing someone's need, an innovator that's trying to, do business with that provider, or even a health plan that wants to offer it to your accountable care organizations. Take no chances. We're not, just like we're not doctors, right? We don't self-diagnose,
Right.
But we do go to Dr. Google after our doctor tells us what our affliction is, so that we can become better informed about, okay, what does she recommend and why? I think the same applies for intellectual property rights. But you should, as an innovator, I will say, speak with an attorney early and often, because you want to be able to defend what it is that you're taking to market, or you become a commodity overnight.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. Anushka, what do you think about IP?
I lived 12 years in China working for a law firm. You can have contracts, you can have laws, you can have, sometimes execution can still be very difficult. But for good businesses, you need to, I think what Kevin said, start early and often and get someone you really trust. But the other side of this, coming from a spiritual side, I also believe in the abundance mindset. Everything is out there. So there's only so much you can keep for so long. Technology moves fast. It helps create many versions of what you have, but then there are other places to innovate. There are new opportunities as well. So it's a tricky one, but you need to do business needs to be done well. You follow the rules, but you may have a contract, you still can hit roadblocks, and we've seen a lot of that in the years I was there. Brought a lot of business to the law firms, so that's a good one that will continue. But I look at what BID is doing. Someone else can go and do the same thing, but they won't have your story. They won't have your purpose. They won't have your drive. And we invest and we go to people who gives us that as well. So I think there is that element. And tech is changing so fast. So what is relevant and current today is not going to be. So maybe in that sense, it does democratize a lot of that as well.
Thank you so much, Anushka, for bringing that point over. So yes, see, when people come to us with IP and everything, and we only ask them this question that, are you actually going to implement this product? And do you have a strong vision? Do you have a strong calling to launch the particular product in the market? Or you just want to file, let's say, patent for the sake of filing it and just make a name for yourself and be available on Google whenever somebody search for you? And that's the time when you realize that, okay, how much somebody is actually involved in a particular business or with the innovation, how much somebody is attached to it. Because if somebody is not attached to it, then of course the consumers are not going to see that way, and they might just go to some other person as well. But when it comes to tech, one of the key challenges which everybody from the innovation community sees is people often copy what you have done. If you are overnight success, people would love to replicate that. And I believe patents and IP is one of the things which can stop people from directly copying you. Of course, you can have workarounds around it, but it will still stop people, and it will let them think before blindly copying it. And I believe, Dr. Vidhi, you would like to share something about it, because you have been in this industry. People have been sitting home idle from your community, outside your community. Had somebody try to copy you, make a dental dose second version or something like that?
So I have a different approach to IP, a different thought process. I really believe that IP helps us, any kind of an innovation, to grow scale an innovation and reach out to a larger set of audience. And I strongly discourage or disapprove of founders who opt out of IP just to not have competition, because I think anyway, whatever product that you launch, you're gonna have competitions. I believe we should have an healthy competition, with IP definitely having within your organization. Because if you are innovating something which is so different, and as Anushka also mentioned, not everyone has the same kind of a purpose or drive to pursue that. So I believe you must protect what you are innovating, but also it helps in reaching out to a larger set of audience while protecting of what you are doing. So definitely you should have it.
Excellent, fantastic. So in a nutshell, guys, IP gives you recognition. If you are innovating something, you have an IP, people would recognize you, people would trust you, because you are the one who has came up with this idea, and that's everybody can see it on Google. People can just type your name and your patent, your IP would flash up. And that's also one of the way people would start believing in you, because you're passionate about something, that you move to the government, you move to the patent office and say that, okay, this is what I invented, I want to have right over it. And then this starts supposed to have the right on it. You can license it, you can give it away for free, like Volkswagen did when it came to the patent of seatbelt. The idea was to save people from accidents, save lives of people during this accident. So what Volkswagen did, they filed a patent so that everybody knows that, okay, this is something which can help you save your life in an accident. And then they made it open source. That's what even Elon Musk did when it came to Tesla. All the technologies for electric vehicle is now available for free for everybody, but Tesla have still the patent so that you can use those patents, learn from it, and develop something on top of it. So IP is important for every business, every innovative companies, and you can plan things, of course, as Kevin said, you can go to multiple people and see why people, what advice the legal professionals are giving you, how they take care of it. But yes, it's important and you should have it because it's good for your recognition as well, and it's going to give you good push into the market, is what I believe from the lens of a legal professional here. Excellent, guys. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed the conversation. We are already beyond our time schedules, and thank you so much, Anushka, for keeping up at so late, and Kevin, so early in the morning for you. Thank you so much for being here, being such a giver. I mean, honestly enjoyed the conversation, and we've learned so far so much from all of you. Dr. Vidhi, your journey has been fantastic. You have shattered all the barriers, and you have crossed all the barriers, and you have proved wrong to people. Proved wrong to people who are from your same community, your family, your friends, and everybody saying that, okay, this is not going to work. And here everybody is coming to you. Kevin, you have been such a great advocate of telehealth and adaptation of digital health solutions for the health community, medical community, and even for the consumers. And Anushka, I mean, you have been there for last 2 decades, hustling and creating chaos in the corporate world. And then you suddenly shift gears and like, okay, enough with the chaos. I'm going to pursue calmness now. And I'm going to teach people how to be calm while they are creating chaos in their day-to-day lives. So this is great.
Download the app. Download the app. It's
Yes,
free to
go
use.
ahead.
Join us on Mondays. Always be pitching, right?
Yes. That's also one of the jobs which all of us have to do, right? As an entrepreneur, you have to always be in the sales mode. Excellent. Thank you.
People would experience, right, if the product is good, automatically then through word of mouth, it would reach out to larger sector. It's a very, very healthy and
Absolutely.
with all of you. I feel glad that to join the panel discussion with really elite speakers like you. Thank you for arranging this.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for putting this together.
Thank you so much
for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for your warm greetings. We love to host you. We would love to again be in touch. We're gonna be now. What we'll do is we'll dissect this session today's session into podcasts, into small snippets. We're gonna be publishing a lot of snippets on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram, so that people can learn from us. People can learn from what we discussed in last 75 minutes, and they will get small bits and pieces, like 2-3 minutes videos, and they will learn from what Vidhi said, what Anushka said, what Kevin said, and everything what I said is going to be cut short or deleted. I don't know, but yes, people are going to enjoy it. People are going to love this show. Thank you so much for coming together at such hours and putting together 75 minutes away of your time and giving it to us. We really love it. We really are blessed to have you here. And that's from here. That's from the Photon Legal side, guys. This was the final day of the Tech Summit, Future of Health Tech. And one thing is for sure, the future of health tech is bright, and it's brighter than ever before. So all the very best, and thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Excellent. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Stay in touch.